Welcome to Different Faces. I'm Pamela,
And I'm Fatima.
and this is Different Faces, a podcast made for all women, moms, single ladies, girlfriends, wives, women try to conceive, aunties, all women just going through life and going through their different phases.
The reason why we wanted to do this, I know it was when Pamela approached me about it, I thought it was a great idea. There's a huge need for mothers to have a support system. And even though we have all gone through the same things, it's a very lonely journey. And I know that we can relate on a lot of that. So if we can motivate, inspire other moms going through the same journey, then it feels like we are not alone on this.
Yeah, the reason why I thought of this podcast was because I had a calling to create a safe space for women to vent, to express ourselves, to relate and connect, and most importantly, for us to create a community.
If we're not in the same space, even if we're like in our case, you at nighttime, me during daytime, you all the way where you are on one side of the world, me on another side of the world.
Yeah. So, who are we? I am Pamela. I am a wife, I'm a stay at home mom, and I'm a woman who is getting her pink back.
Sorry, but I've never heard of that. Can you do you like pink all over again or something? What is that? What does that mean?
No, so getting my pink back. When flamingos have their babies, they lose their color, and then as their babies grow, their color starts to come back, meaning they go back to who they originally were. That's what I'm trying to
Hmm.
do.
Okay, well, I live in Florida and I see flamingos from all shades of pink, and now I know why. That's beautiful, though. That's mother for us.
Yeah,
Well, in my
for sure.
case, I'm a mom. I have recently been back to the workforce after being, I would say, a stay home mom, but I work remotely for 3 years and having her so close to me. Also, a wife, and I have a business as well as I have a job. So I'm always multitasking. And, this space, when brought to my attention, was like, okay, ideal because I can totally relate and how lonely motherhood could be.
Hmm.
So hopefully together we can reach some moms in need for this dialogue and these conversations or resources, whatever we're able to provide to
Oh,
them.
for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's so many women that need it, and sometimes they're either scared or they just don't know how to reach out to other people. So
I agree, and even when we and we haven't even discussed about who we are to each other. But
yeah,
for those who don't know, obviously everybody, we are child.
nobody knows us yet.
Nobody knows that. We are childhood friends,
Mhm.
who just lost touch and
Yeah.
eventually got back during the early stages of our motherhood. And I just remember when we, were able to like reconnect, that I remember seeing you as like you have it all together.
Who,
Meanwhile,
me?
you're like, yes, you.
Oh,
And meanwhile,
girl.
you're saying like, no, we
Yeah.
need this space.
Oh, for sure.
So imagine
And
how
sometimes
many.
even women that don't know they need it, like they don't know they're lacking that community or the um, you know, people around them for that support. And it support, I don't even mean like, oh, help me clean my house or dishes. It's just having somebody there, somebody to talk to, you know, the thoughts that you're having, the difficult times, just having somebody there to share them with. So
Yeah, and
that's why we're
our
here.
mothers are gonna get highly offended at this when we say these
I'm
things. They're
sure
gonna get
there.
highly offended, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's not. Why now? Why do you
Okay.
think? I mean, your babies are not babies anymore. Why
Nope.
do you think?
My son's gonna be 3 in April, and my daughter's 1.5. Why now? Um, I felt like like I just said, I felt like I was lacking community, sisterhood. Um, so I wanted to provide, well, I wanted to try to provide that for other women. And I also had a calling to use my voice for whatever reason it is. Um, so I feel like we can relate and connect and go through this together and just make it a little bit easier and better.
Yeah, yeah. And not to mention that every time you turn the news on, there's a catastrophe, there's like a school shooting, there's like we're like
Yeah.
in a war. So times couldn't be better to look for that support system within,
Hmm.
women, among moms, among grandmas.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm interested in learning about different faces in the name, how it came about. Because I mean, you came up this all on your own.
So different faces. So I love the moon.
Okay.
I love the moon. And the moon goes through different phases. Full moon, new moon, crescents. I don't remember all the names right now, but they go through different phases. And us as women, we also go through different phases. Throughout the years, even when we are, you know, menstruating, it just different phases, all throughout our lives.
Yeah, from little
And
girls to teenage girls,
yeah,
adult women,
everything
mom.
is, yeah. And we are, always evolving. So I thought the name connected with what I wanted to um, put out there and provide for other women. So that's why I chose different faces.
How perfect. Not to mention the moon is it's a woman, right?
Yeah,
It's
it
La Luna.
sure is.
It's
La Luna.
La Luna. She's a
Yeah,
female.
feminine.
Feminine energy.
Yeah.
That's also new terminology, like a year or 2 years new. It's something that we can talk about in a podcast.
You know that women both have feminine and masculine, right? They just
Yes.
have to balance it. Because a lot of women think like, oh, feminine, like I'm not masculine, but just being in your masculinity doesn't necessarily mean you're manly or you're a man. So
Honestly, I had to go through therapy to understand that there's like feminine and masculine energy. Apparently, I have a lot of masculine energy. I'm okay with that.
yeah, I
And it's
mean,
not
there's
a
a
thing.
balance to everything. So
I agree. And sometimes it's like, okay, life just gets you there.
yep.
So I'm a mom of two. I was blessed to have a stepson very early in my young life, and he's 16 years old. And I am a mom of a 4-year old. And you are a mom of two. And I know that
Yes.
even though we're childhood friends, we there was a period of time where we didn't talk. And I know that
Mhm.
I'm dying to hear your pregnancy story, which I know is very different from mine.
Yes. So my pregnancy, thankfully, I had both healthy pregnancies. Didn't have any issues with either of them. I know that it's not the case for all women, but I was blessed to have a smooth pregnancy for both. I mean, I did have the nausea, throwing up, and all that, but nothing that prevented me from, living my day to day. What about you?
I remember being in small doses through your pregnancy and just seeing how graceful you were through the entire process from the first one. Was I around for the first one?
No, actually, I think we got back in contact maybe either a little bit before I got pregnant or um, while I was pregnant.
Yes, we got, yes,
Mhm.
I agree. While you were, before, when you said, I don't think I'm going to be a mom, and then after, right? And then
Hmm.
after, when I'm like, okay, yes. So from the moments I remember you being pregnant, like I just remember like you having a completely different experience than what I had. And my pregnancy, even though it wasn't planned, it was a beautiful surprise. I wasn't ready for it mentally.
Well, both of my pregnancies were surprises too. So
Okay. Okay. So that's good. I mean, we can relate on that one.
yeah, I
So
mean, wanted, but surprised on the timing. Yeah,
I agree. I agree. They're definitely like the reason why we exist, but it's not like they were planned. Like, we're
yeah,
attempting to get pregnant.
mhm,
No.
yeah, yeah.
So for me, the first like maybe week or two, it was very kept to myself, because in the relationship that I was in with my husband currently, we had discussed of just perhaps like just raising my stepson and not going to have another
Hmm.
child. So um, he had gone through a lot with his son, and I just remember thinking like, I don't think I want to, go that route. And I didn't think there was a fear in me, like I'm clumsy. I didn't think I could be a good mom. So I was like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh, I can't imagine a kid under my care. So I remember just thinking like, okay, I need this for myself for 2 weeks, and then struggling mentally and crying a lot. And then the first 3 months were me being sick, like throwing up,
Hmm.
lots of acid reflux, stomach problems, constipation, like you name it, I had it. Ankles were swollen, and I kept it to myself. And my
Hmm.
husband at that time wasn't my husband. We were planning a wedding, and so I didn't have that support system until I decided to tell my family. But as far as like the pregnancy, I once I started to feel better, I told the family month 4. It
You told me
didn't.
when you were 4 months pregnant.
I told my family when I had 3 months,
Oh my god,
three and a
that's
half.
crazy. That's insane. I literally told my parents the day I found out. I was like,
You know what my mind went through? My mind went through, if he doesn't want to have this kid, I need to be able to know what I'm doing for myself or
oh
what
my
I
god.
wanted. Because and this could be a different topic, but abortion wasn't an option.
Oh,
So I
for
needed
me
to
either.
I needed to put all like my things in
Your
order.
eggs, yeah, your ducks in order.
If he says
That's what
yes,
they say.
let's go through it. If he says no, let's go through it. And and then I went crazy, like just trying to figure
Hmm.
things out for myself. Like, how is this gonna affect me? How I need to do the best for this baby. And that
Yeah.
took 2 weeks. And then I told him.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
after I
Well, see,
told
for me,
Mhm.
I because literally I found out because I was throwing up, throwing up, throwing up. I thought I was maybe I had like a stomach bug or something because I was like, there's no way I'm pregnant.
Why not?
And I don't
Were
know.
you
That was
were you,
the last,
were you a
the
virgin
last
or
thing on my
something?
mind.
Like, there's
No,
no
but it was like the last thing I thought. Like that did not cross my mind. And
way.
then he told me, if you throw up one more time, we're going to the hospital because that's not normal. And I
Were
was
you
like,
but
well,
were you taking care of yourself?
no.
I That was the last thing on my mind.
Um, so I was like, well, before we go to the hospital, let's get a pregnancy test. And then I went to the bathroom. I took the pregnancy, and it said positive like right away. And I was so scared to come out of the bathroom and tell him because we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We had literally been together like a little over a year, and I didn't know how he was gonna react. And I was like, oh my god, like I'm so scared. And I told myself, I was like, well, whether he wants to have this baby or not, like I'm gonna have the baby. So even if I have to be a single mom, that's what's gonna have to be. Um, I know, like I came out the bathroom, I showed him. I didn't even say nothing. I was just like here, and then he had a good reaction. So here we are with two babies and married.
Aw,
Mhm.
that's beautiful. Yeah, same here. He was he had a worry reaction, like, "Are you okay? How are you handling this?" He knew that it was a fear of mine, so the first thing he said was like, we had a Jeep that was lifted with like huge tires, and he was like, "We need to change the Jeep." That was like, I'm like, "I'm telling you I'm pregnant, and you're saying we have to change cars. That's what you what are you saying to me?" And he's like, "You can't jump in and out of that Jeep with the baby. No, we can't do that." I'm like,
That's so
"Okay." Yeah.
funny.
It's funny because we had we had our wedding already scheduled, and I remember that my reaction, because I took a pregnancy test at home, and I'm like, "There's no way that this is accurate."
Hmm.
Same like you, even though I wasn't a virgin and I wasn't protecting myself, but in my mind, it's like, it's not happening. This is not happening to
Well, I mean,
me.
the reason why I wasn't expecting it wasn't because I was a virgin or anything. It's just that for so many years, even with my previous partner before my husband now, like so many years, like I didn't get pregnant. Like I never ended up pregnant.
Same here.
So that's why I thought, like, you know,
So
I that's why that
did you thought, oh, maybe I can't have kids?
yeah, actually, maybe like a month before, no, a couple months before I found I was pregnant, I literally, because I always wanted to be a mom, and couple months before, I literally just sat down, I meditated and I prayed, and I said, if I'm not meant to be a mom, if this is not meant for me, then just, I'm at peace with that. And then, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But if it is for me, then, I'm open for it. And then a couple months later, I was pregnant.
Aw,
Yeah. So,
same me. I thought I could. I thought I couldn't be a mom because I never had an oopsies, and in the beginning stages of a relationship, and I had two long relationships.
hmm
You 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 obviously are very careful, but then towards the end, once you are like years in, you're like, okay, this is my person, and I'm their
yeah.
person. So there's no need to protect yourself, and nothing's gonna
hmm
happen. And if it happens, then it was meant to be. Like, at least that was my thought process, and
Yeah.
I was almost starting to accept that maybe I'm not meant to be a mom, and then adding the fact that I'm clumsy and I'm forgetful and I'm just chaotic. I'm very like goal oriented. I was like, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe I'm meant to just be, my stepchild's stepmom, and that's
hmm
it. But I'm
But
so
aren't you happy that it didn't happen with your exes?
oh my
You were
god,
meant like you were meant to have it with who you're with now, you know?
with my person.
So, yeah.
Nothing against any ex.
Oh, everything against them. There's good.
Oh, I know you have a different ex situation. It's like I have not. Those memes that you see like about you hating your ex. I can't relate to any
hmm
of those. Like I've been blessed with.
You hate none of your exes?
Oh, I haven't had many exes,
Oh,
but
I mean, neither have I, but you know,
yeah,
yeah.
I was in a long relationship for a long time, which you know
So was
about.
I. Yeah, so was I. Like literally, my ex, I was with him for almost 10 years. Like that's
My ex was
insane.
7 years, but the difference between your ex and my ex is my ex was a really nice guy. I'm sorry. Oh, he's gonna hear, and your ex is gonna hear too. Cut. You edit this out.
Your ex was too nice.
He was too nice.
Yeah.
That's another episode. This mom's exes.
Okay.
Let's go into the struggles of our pregnancy because I don't think we
Okay.
went through it. Like, if
Got
I can say what the biggest struggle for my pregnancy was, I'm such a perfectionist, right? So as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I started with like prenatal care and the prenatal vitamins and going to the doctor. And I was not eating anything that could harm my baby. So I was like, no spicy food, no soda.
Oh my
If I
god. I
no,
was
yeah,
the opposite.
they said like you're not.
McDonald's, Coke.
That's why when I saw you during your pregnancy, I'm like, she's so chill and she's so like effortless. She's carrying this baby effortlessly, and I'm
Oh,
here
thank
like,
you.
yo. I stopped like wearing high heels, and I remember just not eating ham because they say you're not supposed to have
Oh
any,
yeah. Jelly.
deli, and then also I remember not eating, the egg over easy or sunny side up because you're not supposed to. You can,
Oh,
yeah.
I was still doing that.
And I
With some
love,
good bread. Oh my god.
see. So imagine going through this for 7 months of me being strict, and then all of a sudden, um, you being hit with, let's test yourself for, gestational diabetes, which is a common thing that they want you to check for.
Hmm.
And I'm there going, taking the liquid and going in there like this is nothing. I've been taking care of myself. I eat sweets here and there, but nothing crazy. And
Hmm.
then them saying you have gestational diabetes. And that was like, how did I do this? Like, this is mother guilt begin before I was even a mother with a baby in my hands.
Yeah, but like gestational diabetes, there's nothing that you could have done to prevent it. Like it's not something that you did wrong or did right. Like it just happens. And um, I think if I'm not wrong, it comes from the placenta, right?
I remember just them saying it was like hormonal changes to your body, and the same thing that you mentioned, because I cried. I
Mhm.
cried and I was like I told you, I'm a big baby. So I was like, I'm hurting my baby even before I got her. But yes, it's nothing I could have done.
Yeah, there's literally nothing that you could do to prevent it. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Obviously, as you the person that's carrying the baby, you are gonna feel guilty. Like that's human, it's inevitable. But just, know that it wasn't you, you know.
Yeah, and I remember around this times you were in New York, so you were
Yeah.
getting all your care over there.
Yeah, for my first baby, for my son. Yeah, I was in New York, and for my first pregnancy, I had a doula, amazing doula. I love her. She helped me, with everything, gave me a lot of information. Um, yeah,
I think that's the
very
only the
knowledgeable.
only struggle I had, honestly, just that, because that came with, you having to check your sugar levels on a daily
Mhm.
basis, actually 2 times a day.
Oh
Going
my god.
in and watching what you eat. I had a nutritionist that was able to help me with my diet, and I didn't understand because I'm like, I am not eating lots of sugar, and now that I have gestational diabetes, what am I supposed to like do? Just avoid sugars? I'm fine with that. I was like, I'm fine with that, and they're like, nope. Mm-mm. What are you eating daily? And I had to write down, and I was like, okay. I wake up and I have a toast with
Yeah,
butter
bread.
and coffee with sugar. And then I have rice with potatoes and steak. I'm like,
Yeah,
carbs.
and carbs become sugar. So,
And that was my problem. So my problem wasn't sugar, it was carbs. So I had to
mm,
switch my diet a lot. So maybe this could be an episode on its own, like what to do when you have gestational diabetes and managing
mhm,
your carbs, your sugars. But it was
yeah.
life changing.
Baby number two, I think my struggle was, I mean, this is gonna sound because I know, like, women go through real struggles. My struggle was me being too tired, you know, running around after my first baby, being pregnant with my second baby. Um, being too tired, worrying about when baby number two came, that I wanted to make sure that both of them had the same amount of attention, same amount of love, you know, that nobody felt like, oh, she's not paying attention to me, or. Um, but yeah, I was, healthy for both, thankfully. Um, one thing that I was my first pregnancy. I was able to, like super relaxing, slow mornings, just be in my own peace. And then for my second pregnancy, I couldn't do none of that. But but it was still a pretty good pregnancy. So yeah.
Did you had like
Can't
rituals
complain.
during your first pregnancy? Because you're making it seem like relaxing. Like what were you doing?
Oh my god, literally, like I mean, I was still working from home. Like I would work from home. I would read my computer on a those big bouncing balls, the yoga balls, and I would literally just be bouncing, in front of my window, the sun hitting me. I was still drinking coffee, drinking my coffee, um, you know, taking baths, walking, just like everything like calm. I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel like, oh my god, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Unlike for the second, I had another. He was 1.5. Well, he was one when I got pregnant, and then 1.5 when she was born. But yeah, two
Yeah,
different.
very two different
Mhm.
ones. Yeah, my pregnancy was pretty much like your first one. Very. I was working remotely. I mean, we had babies during COVID time. Was yours during COVID times?
No, he was born in 23.
Okay, so mine was during COVID time. So I was already
Mhm.
working remotely. I was sent home, and after I was done being sick from throwing up and having all the problems that I'd mentioned, I was like bouncing on balls. I was doing
Mhm.
yoga and doing the baths, reading about it.
Mhm.
I don't know if you had an app with you, but an app that was helping me a lot was called Avocado app or My Avocado app, and it would tell me like every step of the pregnancy, like okay, your baby is the size of a fruit, of a strawberry,
Oh,
and
I had that, but it wasn't called that. It was something else. I forgot what it was called. I had one too, but it was not called that. It was something else. I forgot the name. But yeah,
that helped me a lot. Like I was before I was like into Instagram. After that, I was like checking the baby. I'm like checking,
every single day, like
and
as
I
it
was
changed day by day.
yes, and I was also journaling a lot. Every time I went to the doctor's appointment, I'm like the doctor said this and the doctor said that, and I was like,
Hmm. Yeah.
it was a it was a good pregnancy, regardless of my struggles. Like we had amazing, healthy babies, and that's all we can ask for.
Yeah. Did you have any fears in your pregnancy
Yes,
besides what the struggles that you went through? Like,
yeah, that was my fear. A pregnancy was my fear. Besides, like of being afraid of heights, that was
mhm,
my.
okay.
Funny thing is, I went to see Tony Robbins maybe like 3 4 years before I got pregnant, and they you go through like a week of learning about yourself and self development, and through that process you're supposed to like just kind of like understand what your fears are, and I think if you like overcome your fear and you walk through the fire, you're able to conquer it. And in that search I learned that my fear was being a mom, and in
Hmm.
my mind was just like I didn't think I was capable. I I always had kids around, and I would always like give them spicy food or curse by mistake or said something inappropriate. It was just like maybe I'm not meant to be a mom, like so that was my fear was that I could have a child under my possession, and that I could harm them by mistake.
Oh,
And even when my friends will have babies, I will be the first one to like, okay, I'll bring you your gift. But I was never like the type of girl that will go and run to them and like, oh, let me hold your baby. I'm like, no, oh my gosh. I'm like, trust me, you don't want to trust me with your baby. I love them from afar, you know.
Okay. You
So
didn't have like that mother instinct.
no mother instinct. Mother instinct
Okay.
kicked in after.
Yeah, so for me, I always liked kids, being around kids. I was the friend like, oh, let me hold your kid. I was that friend.
Not to mention we
Um,
did our summers
oh yeah, the
at a
preschool. So
preschool.
yeah, I really like that. A fear for me was at first it was giving birth. I was like, oh my God, like I knew I wanted to have a natural birth because, I did not, the needle of the epidural scared me to death. I was like, I'd rather poop the baby out than to get that needle in my back.
So you
Or
were more afraid of the
even,
needle
yeah,
than to grip down there.
at that point, yeah, I was like, oh my God. Like, I mean, both were going to hurt, right? Like everything hurts, whether natural C-section, epidural. Because epidural, you still feel something. It's not like you're completely, you know, right? Or no? I don't know. Okay. So my fear was giving birth. But then, with my doula, I realized like our bodies were meant for this, like, so I, just went with it and, I was able to have two natural births, barely making it to the hospital for both of them. But that's another story. Um, but yeah, my fear was giving birth at first.
So the actual pain.
Not so much the pain because I feel like people don't actually think about it, but so many things could go wrong when you give birth. I mean, like, spiritually speaking, they say that when a mother gives birth, you basically opening like, this portal, like your your soul, what's the word, susceptible or to everything while you're giving birth. Like you literally like everything is just, so um but yeah, so many things go wrong. Like if you have like one bad nurse, like that one bad nurse can make you experience like horrible, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there. I mean, so many women die giving birth. It's
Yeah.
been. I mean, obviously, technology, science has advanced a lot, but
Mhm.
the route you went is still very, very scary.
Yeah, and also when you don't have somebody to advocate for you, like when you have a doula, once you set up like a birth plan with them, if you're in so much pain where you can't speak, they speak up for you. And they also advise that, your partner that's there, for them to also know what you want ahead of time so they can also speak up for you,
Hmm. This is
because
another
obviously you
episode. This
yeah,
whole
you're
this
obviously in so much pain, so yeah.
Yes. Speaking of that, let's talk about what can listeners expect as far as future episodes, because I feel like this birth story that you're just starting, like this could be an entire
Mhm.
other episode.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think for future episodes, we're gonna talk about the beautiful parts, the hard parts, the becoming, the unlearning, and the rebuilding. This is a safe space for all women to relate and connect, to vent, and just share our experiences together.
Yes, I'm excited to learn more about, like, at least the things that you went through, that we have a lot of catching up to do. And also
Yeah,
to
same.
talk about it. There's things that
Yeah,
we just like move on next, like for example, breastfeeding. That's an entire
yeah.
episode.
Like I love like hearing like birth stories. You know, the process of like when you were became pregnant to become a mother. Like I like to hear all those stories, but not everybody is willing or feels safe enough to like talk about all their experiences. But I think it's good to talk about. It's nice to hear everybody's experience, because you can relate with somebody, you know.
That's so
So
true. I'm looking forward to,
yeah.
and I hope everyone who got to listen to this first episode can feel that this is like coming from the heart and that we can relate and that we're not that much different. We're all like pretty much,
Oh,
doesn't matter like the culture, the language,
hmm.
what part of the world we are,
We're all women.
going through different stages or phases of our life.
Yeah. Okay. So this was our first episode, and before we go, we just want to take a little moment to take a deep breath, and we want to remind you to honor the phase, embrace the growth, become the woman, and this is different phases.
Next time.
Bye.